Dramatic? You betcha. But was it clear? Was it clear what was going on there? Well, that was a bunch of news articles. Let's find out what people in the actual industry have to say.
Been yet again unaffected. Like we always said, it was recession proof, then recession resistant. And now it's in a sense COVID resistant. So
reviewing what happened in 2020, which most of you know, self-storage was an outperformer.
I think we're now legitimate. We've grown up, we've matured. We're now, not the redheaded stepchild anymore. We're now an asset class that every, institutionally minded real estate investor has to have self-storage, in his library.
I think self-storage, mostly unfazed. And in fact, in a lot of ways right now, we're better than we were even before the pandemic.
To not only remain stable, but to actually grow. We've actually grown through this time, fortunately. If anything, that COVID proved is that this is it, that we are an essential business.
The old adage for the sector is that, self-storage is recession resistant, right? And the returns point that out. If you look at Nareit data and do a time series event of say 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 years, self-storage in those increments has the highest overall yield, including that's cash on cash dividend return and appreciation. It also has the lowest standard deviation. So it's the least elastic.
Risky.
Yeah.
So today we're going to take a look at the word resilient. All right, let's see here. Able to withstand or recover quickly from difficult conditions. Merriam-Webster says capable of withstanding shock without permanent deformation or rupture. All right. We all like movies, right? When you think about the word resilient, you might think of Bruce Willis in Unbreakable.
Because you didn't break one bone. You don't have a scratch on you.
You might think of Space Jam. You might think of Sean Astin in Rudy.
You ready, champ?
I've been ready for this my whole life.
All of those situations have certainly a high dose of resilience baked into the plot there, where the protagonist overcomes something. If we parallel that to the self-storage industry has certainly had the word resilient labeled on it for quite some time now. A lot of question marks and hesitation when you say that. But if you zoom out, you have the 2008 housing crisis mixed with the 2020 pandemic, which we're currently in right now. Self-storage is showing how strong it is in both of those circumstances, and a lot of people are now taking a second look and being like, wait, not only is it resilient, but it might be resistant to these incredibly hostile and volatile market conditions. Well, the question is how resilient? There are a lot of different types of resilience, and we're going to take a look at those types right now. So let's dive into it.
I think you have to start to transition away from thinking, all right, the benchmark is the zero risk trade versus what are the other core product types trade? And now we get compared to the other product types. And so I think now we have to kind of revert to comparing our cap rates to the other kind of core product types that we're now shoulder to shoulder with, especially since we're all saying on this call now that like in February of 2020, we were concerned with the amount of supply that had to be absorbed. I mean, we were, less than 60 days later, really worried because we didn't know if anybody was going to pay May 1st rent. And by July 4th, it was, we were outperforming everything. Move-outs were basically stalled, move-ins were accelerating, and by Labor Day, we were 20 or 30% ahead on move-ins and 10 to 15% behind on move-outs. And so, we were moving, both in the right direction. And just the durability of the product type I don't think can be argued anymore.
Are the fundamentals that we're seeing, are they temporary or are they permanent? And that question's yet to be answered. So, thinking what we were this time last year, we were in oversupply, with too much supply, not enough demand. And in a matter of weeks, it flipped where all of a sudden, demand was accelerating in a large way, and now occupancies are all-time high. So you could argue that there's not enough supply. This is just showing that things are not slowing down. It didn't look like anything we'd ever seen. As we all know, self-storage has luckily just been one of the greatest places to be in.
So with all that said, in our purview, the industry has been abundantly healthy this year. We saw our own clients, we saw their rates dip, of course, at the height of the pandemic. Well, not, height as in like the chaos more so than numbers, because I think we saw rates decrease, but then now they're back. They're actually in a lot of places higher than they were in January.
Yeah.
Which, I think that is an indicator of good fortune.
If you have a good model, I don't think you deviate too much from how you traditionally operate. The fundamentals are the fundamentals, and it's the fundamentals that are going to get you through bad times as well as good times. There's some tweaks or some mechanics, if you will, that we worked on. So, for instance, we haven't been able to increase revenue, increase rates like we would have wanted to because of certain laws that have been enacted across the country. Some states are a little more loose and liberal than others, but by and large, we haven't been able to enact our revenue management plan as aggressively as we typically like to do in normal times. But by and large, I think, especially for self-storage, it's really about managing the details day in and day out.
We also develop and acquire properties, so we saw no slowdown there as far as either was concerned. So, in fact, here we are. We opened to the 1st of March, which were obviously started last year. We finished a couple late last year, and so the development portion has not slowed, and we continue to see that being strong the rest of this year and into next year. We also acquired a number of properties, so we also grew there. And I think we're seeing that people are getting in and out of this sector. It obviously has become very, very attractive because it seemingly has been yet again unaffected. So we've been very successful. I think I always say that our business is a bell curve when you look at the calendar, and this year was really a check mark. To again set records in the months of November and December for occupancy and rentals and so forth was amazing. So demographics and population and all of that, and then finding, okay, it works, and then negotiating the contract, and then getting the municipality, which we found is more and more resistant to self-storage, which kind of surprises us. But on the other hand, besides property taxes, what does it bring in? It's typically not sales taxes, etc. So that's a much longer cycle, but now it seems like people that are selling are looking at, well, look at the T6 instead of the T12, or even if you look at the T12, my gosh, the last 8 months have been so strong that it is really making the store attractive to sell and for somebody else to buy too. Well, I think certainly that for the near term here, the year-over-year comparisons have a great opportunity in the first 6 months of the year to really blow away what we did last year because of the pandemic, and even into the third quarter there. So from that standpoint, I think you're going to see good results overall as far as the sector is concerned. Prices that sellers are going to demand and so forth, because again, they've seen how resilient this sector is and how many people are going to transfer from offices, build to suits for retail and stuff like that into self-storage. So you may see huge competition as far as that pricing is concerned, and people buying. Probably, I would think a ton of properties are going to change hands this year.
Those are our resilient cases. Thanks for sticking around to watch. Before I let you go, I do want to let you know that Radius Plus is actually going to be getting a facelift within the next couple of weeks. We're very excited about this. Our team has been working pretty hard on this project. We're going to be calling it Radius 5, but I'm not going to let you know too much more beyond that, besides the fact that there's going to be some attributes that you should pay attention to. You're going to be excited about. More on that to come, but for now, thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.